Mocked by a millionaire, this little girl's incredible talent revealed a life-changing truth. Sophie stood backstage, her heart pounding like a drum as the murmurs of the crowd seeped through the curtains. The gala glimmered like a fairy tale, silk dresses twirled, laughter floated in the air, and the scent of fancy hors d'oeuvres mingled with perfume. This was her moment. The stage lights beckoned her, whispering promises of dreams fulfilled and stars aligned. Born in a small Midwestern town, she was raised by her loving single mother, who worked tirelessly day and night to keep their little home warm and comforting. Their modest life was woven together with home-cooked meals and laughter echoing in tree-lined streets, but Sophie craved more. She longed for the big stages that shone like the brightest constellations, and her heart found refuge in the old piano nestled in her grandmother's living room. As she stepped onto the stage, the warm lights washed over her and the audience fell silent. Her fingers rested on the cold, polished keys, and with a deep breath, she began to play. Each note was a piece of her soul, poured out like a waterfall. But then she saw him, the millionaire with the slick hair and a smug grin, sitting in the front row. The man who had everything, and yet, he felt the need to belittle the dreams of a girl like her. Sophie's heart sank as he leaned toward his date, snickering, "What is this? A charity gala, not a talent show. Can someone teach this girl about real music?" The laughter that erupted from the crowd felt like daggers to her heart. Behind the curtain, her mother's face went pale, her hands trembling as she choked back tears. In that moment, Sophie felt her dreams shatter. Why did she think she could ever reach the stars? Humiliated, she fled from the stage, succumbing to the weight of doubt and despair. Yet, unbeknownst to her, their little community, a fortress of love, was already rallying around them, bringing meals and support, even wrapping their arms around her mom during those hard nights. Years of toil had etched lines onto her mother's face, but she never bemoaned their troubles. Still, Sophie couldn't shake the feeling of failure. One sunny day at the park, just as her spirit hovered on the edge of hopelessness, she met Mr. Jenkins, a retired veteran. His eyes mirrored the hardships he'd endured, yet they sparkled with life. "Listen, Sophie," he said, "failure isn't about falling down, it's about how you get back up. The world might not see your worth, but you have to believe in yourself." His words struck her deep, igniting a fire in her belly. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With newfound determination, Sophie decided to audition for a prestigious music program. It wouldn't be easy, especially knowing her path would cross with that millionaire again. The day of the audition loomed before her, heavy with promise and fear. Did she have what it takes? As she sat at the majestic grand piano, she closed her eyes, letting the emotions flood over her, the laughter of her friends, the scent of her mother's cooking, the love of the community. She poured it all into her music. Then the moment of truth arrived. As she played, the audience fell silent, captivated. The millionaire clasped his jaw, stunned, as Sophie transformed her pain into transcendent beauty. Would this be enough? Could her music finally break through the weight of ridicule and restore her faith? As applause began to rise, she felt the tension simmering in the air, and the question lingered: was this just the beginning of a new chapter, or would the world once again push her down? The applause thundered in her ears, wrapping around her like a warm, comforting blanket. Sophie's heart raced with a mixture of adrenaline and uncertainty. Had they really liked it? The audience was still clapping, rising to their feet in a collective tide of appreciation. In that fleeting moment, she caught a glimpse of her mother, eyes shining with pride and love, and it felt like a lifeline being extended. The millionaire's expression, however, was a blend of disbelief and annoyance. His date, smiling brightly, looked confused, as if trying to reconcile the disdainful words he had uttered with the music she had just created. A flicker of determination ignited in Sophie's chest. Maybe this was her chance to prove him wrong, to show him that dreams born from hard work and love could not be easily crushed. Taking a deep breath, she took a step forward. The applause slowly subsided, and a hush fell over the crowd, the weight of silence palpable. She had stepped off the stage once, surely she could step back on for just a moment. Maybe it was silly, but she couldn't let the millionaire's mockery linger unchallenged. Clearing her throat, she spoke, her voice trembling but steady. "Thank you. Thank you all so much for your encouragement. It means the world to me, truly." The audience encouraged her with a fresh surge of applause, but she could see the millionaire's lips curl into a sneer. "What a performance," he scoffed, loud enough for her to hear. "But music like that? It's a hobby, not a career. You can't base your life on a dream." Sophie's heart fell. The familiar wave of self-doubt threatened to pull her under again. But as she glanced at her mother, she felt the unwavering strength of those years spent building a life filled with love. They had faced challenges together, and this was just one more hill to climb. "Mr. Kensington," she said, meeting his gaze. "You may think of music as a pastime, but for many, it's what gives life its color. Just like I have hope, I believe that all of us can chase our dreams no matter how foolish they may seem." Gasps echoed through the crowd at her boldness, and something shifted in the energy of the room. Sophie could see intrigue in the faces of her audience and even a glimmer of surprise in the millionaire's eyes. "Maybe that's why your music failed to capture me," he replied, but there was less conviction in his voice this time. "What will you do when the applause fades?" With her heart pounding, Sophie straightened her shoulders. "I'll keep playing. I'll keep trying. The music will always be a part of me." The crowd erupted in renewed applause, filling the air with warmth and encouragement. As she stepped away, exhilaration coursed through her, yet anxiety clawed at her mind. Did she really believe in her words? With the performance behind her, Sophie sensed a shift occurring not only within herself, but rippling across the audience. They were witnessing something personal. It wasn't just a girl playing a piano. She was standing up for herself, reclaiming her dreams. Weeks later, the results came in. Guilty as she felt, still harboring doubt, her heart raced as she opened the letter. Had she truly earned a place in the program? She would find out soon, but little did she know, her journey was about to take an unexpected turn. But what would happen when her music was suddenly intertwined with the fate of someone who appeared much more sinister than the millionaire? Sophie stared at the letter, her hands trembling in anticipation. The weight of each word settled in the air, heavy with expectation. She couldn't shake the feeling of doubt that clung to her like a shadow. What if she hadn't made it? What if her dreams were just that, dreams, unfulfilled and distant? She took a deep breath and scanned the paper again. And then it hit her. There it was, bold and clear: "Congratulations, you have been accepted." Her heart soared, a flurry of emotions flooding her senses. Excitement, disbelief, and a glimmer of hope danced together, igniting a spark that felt transformative. A soft voice pulled her back to reality. "Sophie. Are you all right, sweetie?" It was her mom, glancing over her shoulder, her eyes full of concern and pride. "I got in, Mom," Sophie practically shouted, unable to contain herself. Her mother gasped, wrapping her arms around her, both bursting into laughter and tears. "That's my girl. I knew you could do it." Her mom beamed with pride, cradling Sophie in a moment that felt like pure magic. That embrace, it was clear, this was what it meant to fight for your dreams. Increasingly, the doubts that had plagued her were melting away, replaced by a determination to prove that music was more than just a hobby. With her mother's unwavering support, she could face whatever came next, but reality came crashing back when she thought of the threats lurking around the corner. How would she navigate the new program filled with talented musicians and a very judgmental millionaire? The taste of recognition was bittersweet when coupled with the potential danger he held. Yet the fire in her belly urged her to push forward. Days turned into weeks, and as Sophie prepared for her first official rehearsal, her nerves were natural. She stood in front of the mirror, adjusting her hair, pretending her reflection was someone else, someone brave enough to face the challenge ahead. Each note from the piano called her, but doubt seeped in. What if she stumbled? What if she was clumsy, and loud? At that moment, her phone buzzed. It was a text from a friend who had also gotten into the program, Emma. "Hey. Excited for rehearsals? Let's meet up later to practice together." The thought of sharing a space with someone who understood stirred something deep within her. Sophie simply replied, "Can't wait." The companionship of a kindred spirit felt like a safety net. She wouldn't be alone in this endeavor. As she arrived at the rehearsal hall, nerves fluttered in her stomach like butterflies escaping captivity. The building loomed large, a stark reminder of all that was possible yet intimidating. Stepping inside, she could see the faces of fellow musicians, all of whom were preparing to showcase their talents. Each one seemed to exude confidence, and for a moment, she hesitated, lingering just outside the door, but then, she remembered her mother's words, "You are stronger than you know." With a deep breath, she pushed open the door and walked into the world she had longed for. It wasn't long before Emma spotted her, rushing over with a warm smile that made everything feel less daunting. "You ready?" Sophie nodded, her heart pounding in rhythm with the anticipation in the air. "Let's do this." As they moved to the stage, Sophie felt a presence lingering in the background. The millionaire, his gaze intense. Somehow, he was a fixture in this new environment. Would he crumple her dreams again, or would he finally acknowledge her passion? In that moment, as the spotlight warmed her skin, everything felt like it was standing still. Sophie could finally show him. She could finally show everyone what music meant to her, but what lay ahead was about more than just proving herself. It was about stepping into a world where her music could hold power and danger beyond her imagination. Would she be able to handle the storm that was about to unravel? Sophie took a deep breath, the air around her electric with tension and opportunity. She could feel Emma's supportive presence beside her, but the intensity of the millionaire's gaze bore down on her, igniting her nerves all over again. What if she faltered? What if he dismissed her before she had a chance to truly shine? The spotlight illuminated the stage, a bubble of warmth surrounding her, contrasting sharply with the chill of doubt. She looked down at her hands, poised over the piano keys. This was at the moment she had rehearsed in her dreams. Yet, fear wrapped its fingers around her heart. "Just breathe," whispered Emma, sensing her unease. "You have this." Sophie managed a weak nod, her resolve flickering like a candle in the wind. She glanced at the audience, eyes focusing on that millionaire, his expression unreadable, yet undeniably powerful. He was a gatekeeper of dreams, with the authority to make or break her journey. Slowly, she let her fingers fall on the keys, the cool, smooth surface grounding her. As soon as her fingers danced across the piano, the world around her began to blur. Each note she played breathed life into her soul, stirring emotions she hadn't allowed herself to feel in a long time. The first chord released a rush of confidence in her veins. With each measure, the music became a lifeline, pulling her deeper into her passion. A surge of exhilaration washed over her as the melody blossomed, filling the room with beauty that felt both delicate and powerful. The audience sat still, enraptured. For the first time, Sophie felt like she wasn't just playing, she was sharing a piece of herself. She was raw and real, the authenticity spilling out in waves, and she could almost see the collective breath taken in the room. But then she looked at the millionaire again. His eyes, intense and measuring, flickered with something that felt like skepticism. Was he really listening? Or was he merely observing, waiting for her to slip up? Sophie pushed that thought aside, forcing herself to focus. She poured everything she had into the performance. The notes soared and dipped, telling her story without words. Each chord resonated with determination, a testament to her journey. As she neared the end, she glanced at Emma, who was mouthing the word, "Yes," in encouragement. Sophie responded with a smile that felt brighter than the stage lights. She was a warrior up here, battling not just for recognition but for her truth. With one final, heart-stopping note, the last chord reverberated through the hall, drawing silence like a breath held too long. It hung in the air for the briefest moment before an explosion of applause erupted, rattling her bones with its intensity. Sophie's heart raced. She blinked back tears, overwhelmed by the emotion coursing through her. But as she looked at the millionaire, something unexpected happened. Instead of judgment, she saw admiration. Then his expression shifted, as if contemplating something deeper. Was it respect? As Sophie stood up, breathless, she felt a weight lift. This moment was hers, and whether the millionaire acknowledged it or not, she had already won. "Wow, Sophie!" Emma exclaimed, rushing over to envelop her in a hug. "That was incredible. You owned that stage." But Sophie was still focused on the man, who now stood with arms crossed, an inscrutable expression on his face. Was he reconsidering everything he thought he knew? Was he really someone who could open doors for artists like her? Before she could ponder any further, he stepped forward, his voice low and steady. "You've got something special, kid. I can see it." But what did that mean? Was it just words of kindness, or was there something more behind his gaze? Sophie felt a shift in the air, a spark igniting questions she hadn't allowed herself to ask before. Maybe the real challenge was just beginning, and her journey was about to take another unexpected turn. What awaited her beyond this moment? What strings might he pull, and would she be ready to follow wherever they led? Sophie stood on that stage, the applause ringing in her ears like a heartbeat. But alongside the applause, doubts tugged at her insides. She had played her heart out, but was it enough? Was she just another hopeful in a sea of artists? As the noise swelled around her, the millionaire's eyes remained locked onto hers. There was something almost piercing about his gaze, it felt like he was searching deep within her. What exactly was he looking for? Pushing aside her worries, she noticed the subtle change in his posture, an openness she hadn't sensed before. Emma, buzzing with excitement, pulled her away from her turbulent thoughts. "Let us go talk to him. He's a big deal, Sophie. This could be your chance." Emma's enthusiasm was infectious, but Sophie hesitated. "Talk to him? What would I even say?" "You'll figure it out. Just be yourself." Emma's assurance was a comfort, but Sophie's heart raced. The air was thick with anticipation as Emma led her down the stage toward the waiting millionaire. "Mr. Cole," Emma began, her voice steady, "this is Sophie, the incredible talent I mentioned." Sophie's eyes darted between Emma's excitement and Mr. Cole's measured demeanor. He extended a hand, his grip firm yet inviting. "Nice to meet you, Sophie. You surprised me up there. Your passion for the music is undeniable." Sophie felt warmth spread through her, accompanied by a flicker of hope. "Thank you. It means a lot to hear that." Her voice barely emerged above a whisper, and she felt like a child meeting a superhero. But he continued, his voice dropping slightly as though confiding a secret. "You need to turn that passion into something more. There's a rawness in your playing, and while it's beautiful, it needs sharpening. Have you studied formally?" The question caught her off guard. "No, I've never had the resources," she trailed off, her throat tightening as reality sank in. Mr. Cole's gaze softened. "I can help you. I can connect you to the right people. They can give you what you need." But he paused, studying her face. "You have to be willing to work hard." Sophie's pulse quickened. Was this real? A chance? I would do anything." He nodded, a ghost of a smile playing at the corners of his lips. "Good. But understand, there's a price. This path is a tough one, and the music industry is unforgiving. Are you ready for that?" The weight of his words settled over her like a blanket, heavy but familiar. She was no stranger to struggle, she had fought for every note, every chance. She swallowed hard, determination rising within her. "Yes. I am ready." "Then let us get started," he said, the spark of opportunity igniting in his eyes. We'll set up a meeting next week. In the meantime he reached into his jacket pocket, pulling out a business card. Call me if you need anything. Sophie took the card, her hands trembling. It felt like a key to a door she had only dared to envision. Thank you, she breathed, overwhelmed by a mix of disbelief and excitement. As they walked away from the stage, Emma circled back, bouncing in her excitement. Did you see that? This is huge. He believes in you. But Sophie's mind raced, turning over the weight of the promise wrapped in those words. She had taken a leap into the unknown, but now she was at the edge of a cliff, ready to find out if she could actually fly. Just then, a thought struck her with a pang of clarity. What if this path revealed not just her talent, but the truth of who she was meant to become? But as she glanced back at Mr. Cole, she caught his eye again, and doubts began to creep in. Could she really navigate this world? Would she lose herself in the process? The questions lingered, echoing through her mind as she and Emma stepped out into the cool night air, the future unfolding ahead of them like an unwritten score. What lay ahead for Sophie in this unforgiving industry, where dreams were often crushed underfoot? The journey was just beginning and it was bound to reveal truths she had never even imagined. Sophie stood in the cool night air, clutching Mr. Cole's card like a lifeline. The world around her buzzed with the aftermath of the performance, lights flickering against the velvet darkness. Emma's excitement shimmered over her, a palpable energy, but all Sophie could focus on was the powerful words that had just been exchanged. Can you believe it? Emma squealed, her eyes gleaming. You have a real chance now. Just think of it: music lessons, professionals guiding you, everything you've ever wanted. Sophie nodded, forcing a smile that felt glued to her face. Yeah, it's amazing, but she felt the gnaw of uncertainty clawing at her insides. Instruction sounded promising, but would that mean changing the very essence of who she was? They walked through the crowd, dazzling lights and familiar faces surrounding them. There was a little part of Sophie that felt swept away in all the noise, like a piece of driftwood tossed in rough seas. What if she didn't fit into that world of polished musicians? What if she lost herself trying to fit a mold? Are you okay? Emma's voice cut through her clouded thoughts. You look a little pale. Honestly? I'm just overwhelmed, Sophie admitted, biting her lip. What if I can't keep up? What if I'm not good enough? Emma pulled her into a gentle hug. Sophie, you are incredible. You have something special. Just don't let fear mess with your head. Cling to that courage you have. It'll take you far. Sophie took a deep breath, the warmth of Emma's reassurance easing some of the tension inside her. They approached a small fountain, where the sound of bubbling water created a soothing rhythm, almost like a heartbeat. A smile crept back to her face. You really think I can do this? Absolutely. Just think about it: everything you love about music, now you get to grow and learn. There's nothing stopping you. As they settled on a nearby bench, Sophie felt both hope and anxiety swirling within her. What if she embraced this journey? What if she let the fear guide her, instead of hold her captive? The chat drifted into plans about what they could do together in the coming week. They tossed around ideas of online courses and local master classes, voices filled with excitement over potential collaborations. As they shared dreams and animated ideas, Sophie felt something shift within her. That old flicker of determination began to reignite, yet, somewhere beneath the surface, the specter of doubt still persisted. What if the journey led to heartbreak? What if she was mocked for her ambition? The fear of scrutiny weighed upon her, a heavy fog clouding that bright spark of inspiration. I want this, she finally said, cutting through the lingering tension with newfound clarity. I want this more than anything, even if it's scary. Emma smiled, the kind of smile that wrapped around Sophie's heart like a warm blanket. And you'll have me right beside you every step of the way. Like a true friend. As they walked back, the city lights danced in strange hues. Filled with the exhilaration of possibilities, a soft thought nudged at Sophie again: could this truly morph into something not only transformative but healing? What other hidden talents lay waiting to be discovered? In her heart, a small voice whispered, but are you ready to unveil what that might cost? Sophie took a deep breath, the path ahead shrouded in uncertainty but bursting with potential. She knew the ride wouldn't be smooth, but she felt an undeniable urge to find out more. And that was only the beginning. What would she discover about herself along the way? She still had to confront the haunting question, was she prepared for both the victories and the defeats that awaited her in this new world? The next morning, Sophie woke to sunlight streaming through her window, warm and golden. It felt too bright, too hopeful for the swirling doubts that still clung to her like morning fog. She sat up, her heart pounding as she glanced at Mr. Cole's card resting on her dresser. The name tugged at her mind, both exciting and terrifying. Her fingers brushed the card, and she breathed in deeply. Today was the day she had promised herself to call. Each tick of the clock felt like a lightning bolt urging her onward. What was she waiting for? Instinctively, she reached for her phone. The weight of the decision pressed heavily on her, not just the act of calling a stranger, but of risking her heart. I can do this, she whispered, echoing Emma's words. Who are you talking to? Her younger brother, Alex, peeked his head around the door, still in his pajamas, wide-eyed with curiosity. No one, she replied quickly, tucking the card deeper into her hand. Liar. Is it about music? He scampered toward her, his small frame brimming with energy. Can you play a song for me? You're getting better every day. Sophie felt warmth envelop her. The innocence in his voice nudged at her spirit. Later, okay. I'll show you my new piece. Promise. Okay. But you have to promise no more scary stuff, he said, his brow furrowed in concern. She chuckled, ruffling his tousled hair. I'll try, kiddo. Yet as soon as he left, a wave of anxiety crashed over her again. What if she didn't measure up? What would it mean if Mr. Cole turned out to be just another person telling her she wasn't good enough? With trembling fingers, she scrolled through the contacts, heart racing faster with each digit she typed. Just pick up, she whispered. She hit call and flinched at the ringing sound. Hello. His voice was smooth, confident. Sophie's heart raced. Mr. Cole. This is Sophie. We met at the performance last night. Yes, yes. Sophie. How are you? His enthusiasm was infectious. I wanted to talk more about the lessons you mentioned, she stammered, surprised by her own voice. It felt small, yet determined. I'm really interested but not sure if I'm good enough. There was a long pause. What makes you think that? Her thoughts swirled. I don't want to waste your time. What if I can't keep up? What if I don't belong? Listen, Sophie. Talent is less about perfection and more about passion. You have to be ready to take a leap, ready to put in the work, and yes, to face some criticism along the way. His words struck a chord in her, they felt like a call to arms. I want to try. Ultimately, I want to grow as an artist, she said, a newfound strength flickering within her. Then let us meet tomorrow. I want to hear what you can do. We'll start with where you are, and together we'll craft the journey. With those simple words, her pulse quickened. Here it was the opportunity she had long dreamed of and dreaded in equal measure. The fear still fluttered at the edges of her mind, but right now, faith surged within her. Okay. Tomorrow it is, she replied, her voice firm with determination. After hanging up, Sophie felt a mixture of excitement and fear. That first step was only the beginning. Would she be brave enough to share her music, her heart, with the world? Suddenly, Alex burst back into the room. I heard you talking. Are you going to be famous now? His innocent question brought laughter to her lips. I don't know about famous, but I sure hope to be better. With determination cementing her resolve, Sophie grabbed her guitar, feeling its familiarity bring her comfort. As she began to play a familiar tune, something deeper pulsed through her, an understanding that this was just the start, and every note might lead her towards something wonderful. But as the music flowed, another thought tugged at her heart, a reminder of the doubts still waiting in the shadows. Was she ready to face them all? Sophie's fingers danced on the strings, forming melodies that echoed her hopes. Little did she know, the road ahead would bring surprises beyond imagination, some deeply painful, and some incredibly freeing. The real question was, would she be able to embrace them? With every strum, she felt a clearer path emerging. Tomorrow would be crucial, but was she truly prepared for the challenges to come? Sophie spent the next day in a whirlwind. Morning stretched into afternoon as she paced her room, guitar in hand, strumming softly, lost in thought. The hours felt stretched and elastic, the clock ticking down to her meeting with Mr. Cole, each tick accentuating her nerves. "Why am I doing this to myself?" she muttered, trying to ignore the weight of fear settling into her stomach. Alex popped in every now and then, his firm belief in her talent lifting her spirits when they threatened to droop. "Just think, Sophie. You've got this," he cheered, bouncing on the balls of his feet. "What if you get to play on some big stage someday? Or what if I mess up completely?" She shot back, though she couldn't help but smile at his unyielding optimism. "Even if you do, it would just be practice for next time," he replied, grinning as if it was the simplest thing in the world. The more she thought about it, the more Alex's words began to resonate. Maybe mistakes could be stepping stones instead of stumbling blocks. She rolled her shoulders back, a tiny flicker of determination illuminating the corners of her mind. Finally, the moment struck. The clock's hands pointed to 3. Sophie checked her reflection one last time, smoothing her hair and adjusting her collar. The nerves twisted tighter, but excitement bubbled beneath. This was her moment. The cafe where they agreed to meet was unassuming. Quaint and cozy, it smelled of roasted coffee beans and baked pastries. As she stepped inside, the warmth enveloped her, soothing her racing heart. She spotted Mr. Cole in a corner, and for a brief moment, doubt clawed at her again. What if he saw her as just another girl chasing a silly dream? Then again, she remembered his voice, the confidence in it, the promise of what was to come. Mustering every ounce of courage, she walked toward his table. "Mr. Cole," Sophie said, her voice steady but soft. "Sophie. So glad you could make it," he beamed, standing to shake her hand. There was not a hint of judgment in his eyes, only encouragement. He gestured to a chair, and she took a seat, feeling a smile tugging at her lips. "Thank you for meeting with me," she replied, her tone wavering with enthusiasm and nerves. He smiled, leaning forward, his intensity compelling. "Let's dive straight in. I want to hear you play." "Play?" Her heart raced at the thought. "Yes. You brought your guitar, right?" He gestured toward the case she had reluctantly brought along. With a deep breath, she unzipped her guitar case, the familiar weight in her arms igniting something in her. The world around her melted away as she focused solely on the strings beneath her fingers. As she tuned her guitar, her thoughts flitted back to the risks she was taking. The possibility of failing mixed with the hope of success danced through her mind like fireflies in the night. She began to play slowly at first, letting the chords settle. With each note, a wave of comfort washed over her. The music poured from her heart, each strum echoing with intention. Time slipped away as she immersed herself in the rhythm. When she finished, a cloud of silence, thick and heavy, settled over the table. Mr. Cole's expression was unreadable. She held her breath, anxiety creeping back in. "Wow, that was beautiful," he finally said, his eyes sparkling with admiration. "You have a real gift, Sophie." Her heart swelled at his words, but as quickly as joy spread, a knot of uncertainty tightened in her chest. But was it enough? He paused, considering. "Enough? You have the potential for so much more. But it's going to take work, commitment, and embracing your shortcomings. Are you ready for that?" Sophie met his gaze, feeling the weight of his question. Did she have the resilience to face the challenges that lay ahead? This was just the beginning, but doubts swirled danger close again. Are you ready to leap? His question hung in the air, both daunting and exhilarating. In that moment, Sophie realized it wasn't just about music anymore. It was about finding herself, pushing past her doubts, and daring to dream big. Tomorrow would hold new obstacles. But could she take Mr. Cole's words and use them to break through? As she stepped out of the cafe, the evening sky wrapped around her like a warm embrace, painting hope in the fading light. Did she truly have the courage to chase this dream, or would fear hold her back? Sophie walked home with her guitar resting against her back, the weight both comforting and daunting. Each step echoed Mr. Cole's words in her mind. Work, commitment, embrace your shortcomings. She gripped the guitar tighter, her pulse racing with possibilities and fears. As she turned onto her street, the sounds of laughter and music wafted from the nearby park. A band was setting up on the small stage, families and friends gathering around, and for a moment, she hesitated. Should she stay and watch? Could she dare to dream like them? Her legs led her toward the crowd, the energy buzzing in the air resonating with her own growing excitement. She leaned against a tree, blending into the background, the familiar rhythm of the music wrapping around her like a warm blanket. It was then she saw a group of kids, lively and carefree, their faces lit up with the thrill of performance. One boy stood on the stage, his guitar skillfully slung over his shoulder, strumming with confidence. The crowd cheered, and Sophie felt a twist of envy mixed with admiration. I wish I could be brave like that, she whispered to herself, her fingers grazing the smooth wood of her guitar case. She had just taken a leap, hadn't she? Why did it still feel like she was hovering on the edge? Moments later, the band introduced an open mic segment. She watched as several eager performers stepped forward, each pouring their heart out to the audience. Inspired by their courage and enthusiasm, Sophie felt something shift within her. The thought of being up there, vulnerable and free, it was intoxicating. After a few performers, she gently set her guitar case on the ground, her heart pounding in her chest. Was this her moment? Could she take that leap right now? Come on. You can do this, she muttered, barely aware that Alex had appeared beside her, sensing her inner tug-of-war. Want to go for it? He beamed, his eyes bright with encouragement. You've got nothing to lose. Just think about how proud you'll feel. Doubt flickered in her mind. But what if I mess up? Then you mess up. It's part of the journey, he replied, nudging her shoulder. Besides, I know you won't. Just go out there and be you. The moment swirled into a blur of emotions, fear mixed with excitement, uncertainty brushing against thrill. She hesitated as a girl on stage finished her song to uproarious applause. Okay, I'll do it, Sophie whispered, her voice steady but small. She gathered her courage and walked toward the stage, Alex trailing closely behind, whispering words of support. With each step, the crowd's noise faded into a distant hum. All she could hear was her heartbeat, the thumping rhythm matching her nerves. As she reached the front of the stage, the spotlight filled her vision, creating a pool of warmth and scrutiny. For a flicker of time, everything felt surreal. Next up, we have Sophie. The announcer's voice boomed, pulling Sophie back to the moment. She took a deep breath, locked eyes with the audience, and the weight of her fear transformed into an electric thrill. As she stepped up to the microphone, the murmurs faded into an eager anticipation. She set her guitar on her knee, fingers resting lightly on the strings. But then, a single thought sent a chill down her spine: what if this went wrong? What if her vulnerabilities were exposed instead of celebrated? Just play from your heart, a friendly face in the crowd shouted, and she knew it was Alex. As she began to strum, the melodies began to wash over her doubts. She could do this. She could embrace the moment. The music intertwined with her fears, transforming them into something beautiful. Sophie closed her eyes and let the world slip away, pouring her heart into the song. But just as she lost herself in the moment, a loud voice pierced through the music, pulling her from her trance. Is this a joke? A man in a sharp suit laughed, leaning against the spotlight. How cute, a little girl with her toy. What makes you think your music is worth listening to? The laughter from his group gnawed at her spirit. Sophie's fingers froze over the strings, heart sinking. Had she really stepped into this moment, only to be mocked? In the silence that followed, something stirred inside her. This was the moment she had to choose: let his words dim her spirit or turn this into fuel to push back harder. Could she find it within herself to rise above the noise and claim her voice? The air around her shifted, anticipation building. Sophie took a deep breath, readying herself for whatever came next. Sophie stood at the microphone, breathless and shaken by the unexpected words that had just hit her like a tidal wave. For a heartbeat, doubt tried to claw its way back in, whispering lies of inadequacy and failure. But as she looked out over the crowd, something else surged within her, a fire born from years of hard work, love, and the unwavering support of her family and community. Who are you to decide what is worth listening to? She found herself saying, voice steady, eyes locking onto the man who had mocked her. The audience gasped, surprise hanging thick in the air. Music is about connection. It's about emotion. You may not understand what it means to me, but I do. And I won't let your words make me shrink back. As the murmurs of disbelief scattered through the crowd, a wave of encouragement swept over her. Alex's bright eyes sparkled with pride in the audience. That small moment of solidarity strengthened Sophie's resolve. She took a deep breath and resumed her performance, this time pouring not just notes but her very soul into the music before her. The first chords rang clear and bright, each strum echoing with confidence. She channeled the years of hard work, every hour spent practicing, and all the support she had received. Each note transcended doubt, each chord resonated with truth. She played with abandon, lost in the sound, and the crowd began to lean in, drawn to the authenticity pouring from her. The mocking man fell silent, and she could feel eyes shift toward him, judging his presence. Encouragement grew louder, rippling through the audience as people began to clap along with her, their enthusiasm reverberating off the walls of the theater. When she hit the final note, silence blanketed the room for just a moment, and then explosion. The applause erupted, louder than she'd ever imagined. Sophie blinked back tears, overwhelmed by the support showering down like warm rain. In that moment, everything changed. The doubts that once clung like vines began to unravel, and the fear that had threatened to crush her spirit started to dissipate, replaced by a sense of belonging. She looked once more at the man. Real fear flickered in his gaze now, and for the first time, she felt like she was holding the power. I'm not just a girl with a hobby, she exclaimed into the microphone, her voice steady now, strong against any predictions of failure. I, like everyone else, am pursuing my dreams. Music is not a crime, it's a passion. And that passion deserves to be heard. The crowd roared in response, the atmosphere electric and charged with anticipation. People weren't just applauding her music anymore, they were applauding her courage, her fire to stand against judgment. As there were cheers around her, she spotted her mother in the front row, beaming with pride, her grin illuminating the dim light of the crowd. In that triumphant moment, Sophie realized that she had broken through not only the wall of derision built up by others, but the self-imposed boundaries that had kept her from true expression. This was not just a performance, it was a powerful declaration: she mattered, her dreams mattered, and the music that flowed through her veins had a place in the world. Weeks turned into months, and with Mr. Cole's guidance, Sophie delved deeper into her craft. She embraced the challenges ahead, learning not just about music but about herself. She faced fears that had haunted her, pushing through moments of self-doubt and criticism. But every struggle forged her stronger, instilling resilience. As the concert season approached, Sophie prepared to showcase her original compositions, a culmination of the journey she had taken, of love, community, and blossoming resilience. The grand stage felt less daunting this time, it felt like home. On the night of the big performance, as lights dazzled and the overwhelming warmth of the audience embraced her, she closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She thought of her mother, of Alex, of Mr. Cole, and of every single person who had supported her along the way. She was no longer just a girl from a small town, she was an artist, ready to share her story with the world, and when she struck the first chord of her new song, she felt an ebbing wave of hope wash over her. Her heart soared not just from the music, but from knowing she'd overcome every doubt that had ever dared to silence her. As the last note fell, applause thundered like a storm, filling her up with warmth and understanding. With tears streaming down her cheeks, she smiled, knowing that she had not only found her voice but embraced who she was meant to be. This was the moment she had fought for, the moment that transcended every fear, every doubt. The night was alive with endless possibilities, and Sophie was ready to keep stepping into the light, whatever lay ahead. Now don't let this feeling fade away. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that inspire. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us share this magic with the world. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this amazing journey. And share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible transformation. You need to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second.